Well, Brian, the thing I'm concerned about for 2013 is my input costs are going way up for my farm.
Good grief. Here's the whole thing, and we talk about this a lot on the show. You can't focus on costs. What you have to focus on is return on investment. Now, don't get me wrong, in some cases that means cutting your costs. But in a lot of cases, it just means I want to invest as much money as I can as long as anything I'm investing gives me a good return. But the whole thing is, even if I'm going to invest a whole bunch of money on my farm, I want to get the best deal of the year. So I'm going to use seed one way or the other. How do I get the best deal? I'm going to use fungicide one way or the other. How do I get the best deal? Fertilizer, all these things. So that's what we wanted to focus on today.
Okay, well, here's the challenge. Seed corn has gone up in price. So it goes up 5 or even 10% depending on what you're getting exactly from last year. So how is that a good thing for me?
Okay, so here's the thing with the seed corn. In my opinion, I think we're going to have intentions of 100 million corn acres going into 2013, which means that seed supply is going to be very tight again. When seed supply is tight, then unfortunately, we're not going to have a lot of discounting. Here's my suggestion on this. You buy early. You can prepay for your seed right now from a lot of different seed companies. Prepay, you order early, take advantage of all those order and prepaid discounts. That's how you can get your best deal.
Well, one other thing I'm concerned about, Brian, is herbicides. When we look at some of the different herbicides out there, they were in tight supply this year, and we're seeing more acres with tough to control or even Roundup resistant weeds. So guys are using more of these broadleaf partners for sure, and they're using higher rates of glyphosate all the time.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to give you a very specific example. So one of the major suppliers of glyphosate is on allocation for the next 8 months. 8 months to all the retailers that are bringing their product in. So if you want glyphosate, I'd suggest getting it right now. I'll just tell you something that goes on in the ag chem industry. You may or may not have known this already, but a lot of the big companies have load programs with all their dealers. And so the first loads that they bring in for the year, and this happens in the summer and early fall, those are at a better price than the loads they bring in later. And very few retailers can bring in enough for the entire next year. So that's the reason why prices always start increasing about January, February, especially by May and June. You're going to pay 10 to 20% higher for ag chem. That's just the way it is. So if you want to get the best deal of the year, get it now. There are fill and load programs even for farmers right now, where if you take it, you'll probably save in that range of 10 to 20%. Why not do it? Okay, for fertilizer, this is the one area where I don't know if taking it early is going to pay this year, Darren, because there's going to be a lot less demand. I mean, dramatically less demand for P&K, in my opinion, because of the drought that we had this year. We very well might have cheaper P&K prices come spring. I doubt that'll happen with nitrogen, but I'm just saying, with all these other things, seed, chem, probably nitrogen, buy now, pay now, take it now, you're way better off. With P&K, I just don't know. If you have our weed of the week, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a good return on investment no matter what. It's one of the worst weeds we face, and it's glyphosate resistant in many areas. We'll talk about it coming up next.